Well, hello everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. It's a lockdown here in Bangalore, and I thought I'll just make a video after a long time about my experiences with the R3. Uh, just wanted to make a video talking about points that you should consider while you're buying an R3, right? So I do know that the R3 is no longer available in the market, but a lot of people are considering buying one, and I thought this video may just make sense for them who are looking to buy an R3 in the used market, and just to talk to them if it really makes sense for them as an individual to buy this motorcycle. So I'm not going to keep it very long. I thought I'll just keep it short, talk to you about few points that I feel makes a difference when you choose a motorcycle. So yes, let's get started. So the first thing, I've divided this section into why you should and why you shouldn't buy an R3. So the first point, I know it's cliche, but the looks. I mean, come on. This motorcycle, carries that Yamaha philosophy which has been carried down from, the bigger motorcycles. This thing really looks good, right? It's not overdone. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, for example, there are motorcycles in the market which are polarizing, right? Their looks are really polarizing. I talked about the RC3 series itself, right? 200, 390s, or talk about the RS200, not in the same segment, but I'm just talking about fully fed motorcycles available in the market. So those are polarizing. Some people like it, some people don't. But this, the reason why I took looks as the first criteria is just because it looks simple but also elegant, right? It carries that DNA from the Yamaha's design philosophy. So that is going to be the number one point. Number two is going to be the engine of the Yamaha R3. Actually, that is the number one point for me personally. It's the engine that the Yamaha R3 has that really seals the deal for me actually. Okay, so I have divided this engine into again three engine category into probably three sections. So one is the power delivery, right? So it's got it's a 321cc motorcycle which makes I think around 42 PS and 29 newton meters of torque, right? So, and all is delivered between those 9,000 to 10,500 rpm. Okay, but that's not what I really like about this motorcycle. It's about the way it delivers the power, right? So it actually delivers it pretty linearly. That's really something that I don't see in a lot of motorcycles, but the Yamaha R3 has got it. Second section would be the refinement and smoothness, right? So the parallel twin from Yamaha. I mean, what else do I have to say? Even if the bike gets bombed, the engine is still gonna run. So the smoothness and refinement is there. I don't feel any say nasty vibrations or nasty sounds from the engine after 30,000 kilometers of running. And obviously the last thing, the Yamaha R3 revs like crazy. It revs all the way up to 12,000 rpm, and that's something that I think not a lot of motorcycles can actually claim. But this thing revs really high, and you really feel like extracting the entire power from the motorcycle. It makes the peak power around I think 9,000 rpm, somewhere around that. Also torque I think is around 10,000 rpm, right? So you really ring the motorcycle out and you feel like you're the boss, right, when you're driving it. So that is the point number two. Okay, so the third point in my list is going to be livability with a motorcycle, which a lot of us consider while buying a motorcycle, right? Is it good to live with every day? So again, I have divided this into a couple of sections. So first is going to be, I would say, can it tour? Well, Yamaha actually calls it the superbike to live with every day. Well, superbike it certainly is not, but a motorcycle to live with every day, 100%. Right, so I'm gonna talk about touring first, right? So even though it's got clip-ons, it's actually got raised clip-ons. So that means you don't really have to lean in as much as you do on a super sport. That's gonna help you tour really well. And the other is the cruise speed and the engine refinement will actually help you cruise all day long. Right, so 120 kilometers an hour cruise speed is easy for the R3, it just does it in the sleep. So that's something that it can do easily. Even though it doesn't have a slipper clutch, the clutch action is pretty light, so you don't really have to worry about the bike not having a slipper clutch. And the low heat, right? So you don't even feel the radiator coming on most of the times in the city. Me being from Bangalore, known for its super packed roads with traffic, I have not really felt heat on it anywhere near the KTM motorcycles. I had KTMs in the past, I love those motorcycles, but heat management on this is on another level, right? It does really well on that. Riding on the track. So as standard, with the lower set foot pegs, higher set handlebars, it's not a track machine. See, you can take it to the track and have fun, but you may have to do a little bit of tweaking to make sure the bike runs well on the track. Probably lower the clip-ons, put better set of brakes. So some of those I would be covering in the points that should not buy the R3 for, right? So I'm going to talk about that later. I'm gonna keep this video short, and that's why I'm not gonna nitpick on smaller things. I don't want to do that, so I'm just covering the main points, right? So the fourth point and the fifth point clubbing together on why I like this motorcycle is, one, because of the gearbox. Super precise, the gears fall into place. I've never found a problem in putting neutral in the city. Even clutchless upshifts on it, doing it the proper way. It's really good. It's precise, doesn't clunk. After so many years of use, it doesn't really have any problem at all, right? It's crisp, to just put it in a way. And the fifth point is going to be the instrument cluster. It's still got, an analog meter and a small digital instrument cluster, but it really works well. It's from the R6 era, right? That's the same design, and there's still a feeling of the analog meter just revving up the RPM, right? So that's something I like, and I would say that's why it's good. It also has all the information you need. It has got a gear position indicator. It shows a precise reading of the fuel, heat management, and also a lot of other simple things like time, auto, etc. So it's pretty good. So I think keeping it simple, that's the reason I like the instrument cluster on this motorcycle. Okay, so coming to the points I don't like about the motorcycle. The first is being the build quality. Okay, I'm not saying this motorcycle is trash, absolutely not. It's put together really well, but the quality of the parts used could have been better. Just to show you an example, I see a lot of rust here. If you could see that, not typically associated to Japanese motorcycles. If you see a lot of oxidation on the header pipes there, even though we do clean it regularly, and it's an issue that a lot of the Yamaha buddies have pointed out. Similarly, I don't have a seat on, I have a rear cowl on, but even the seat does this. It's not really snugly fit. It's not just about the cowl, but the seat does the same. So that's a problem that I have. There's a lot of gap there, even with the rear seat. So build quality, not up to the mark. Maybe something you need to consider. Second point that I really don't like much about this motorcycle is the handling, right? So as you know, the R15 just redefined the way motorcycles handle, at least for the Indian market, right? With the delta box frame and the precise handling. But this thing, with the steel frame and the steel swing arm, doesn't really inspire the confidence in handling, I would say, especially with the stock tires. This thing obviously has been upgraded to other set of tires, but really doesn't handle really well. And that's the reason you may not want to take it on track. People can take it, but may not be up to the mark as, say, the RC series or even the R15 in terms of handling. And that certainly is not helped with the brakes. So the brake, even though it's got pretty good bite, I don't feel the progression to be that well, right? So once you pull the brakes in, it doesn't give you that confidence in terms of the progression. Actually, that's what I would say. something that I feel could have. And the model that I have doesn't even have ABS, which I think was one of the biggest misses that Yamaha did when they launched it. I think that was needed. Uh, Obviously, we don't need power modes and traction control, but ABS is needed 100%. So that's something that the motorcycle misses out on. The newer ones, the 2018 models, have solved it. So I think if you are buying a 2018 model, it should be good enough, right? And the other points, couple of points, is service experience and value for money. See, it can vary from person to person, but Yamaha service for the R3 I don't feel as premium as it should have been. I know it's similar cases with Kawasaki 300 series motorcycles as well. Could have been better, but service is fine. It can vary from person to person, but parts availability should have been better, right? So even for smaller parts, I have to wait for some time. Even small washers, levers and stuff, I sometimes have to run around Bangalore to get these parts. And the cost is also a little bit on the higher side, where I wouldn't really complain about, but it is on the higher side if you're trying to keep this motorcycle for long, and if you have spares coming into picture, certainly you will have to consider that cost. So that leaves me around with value for money. Obviously, with the competition in the market, especially the price that now Kawasaki Ninja 300 is selling for, R3 is really going to have it a tough time if they're going to try and bring back the R3. So, Yamaha is going to have a really tough time. So, value for money, with the price that it's quoting, I think it's a little bit over, probably 30,000-40,000 over what it should have been. But overall, talking about the motorcycle, I have been personally owning, so I would say I've owned at least 4 fully fed motorcycles before. And this one is the one that I'm gonna keep for a little bit more time, right? Because I feel this engine's got a lot of potential, a really good motorcycle to live with as well. So that is my review of the R3. I really wanted to make this into like a vlog style video, but unfortunately my GoPro stopped filming, so I thought I'll just make it this way. I've got some really good company here. I think they're enjoying the lockdown much better than what we are. So guys, stay safe. I hope you all are doing well, and I hope to see you soon in some other video. Take care.